All right. So to start, obviously there's nothing drastic because you can still put out low 90s. All right. If there's a huge problem, you wouldn't put that out. Um, but obviously you can't do it all the time. It is a big problem. The two things you said that raised my eyebrow, um, before we get into the mechanics of it, where you said you roughly didn't throw with any intent for 6 months and then went straight into a 15 pitch max effort pen. All right, that's a huge spike in stress. And then there's two mechanical things I'll point out that will support that. In it looks like the one video you're not max effort and your mechanics are cleaner, and then in the two videos where it looks like your max effort, you start to break down. So that can also affect it. Depending on I don't know the training staff there. I think you said that you're doing your rehab with Ship Rehab or the training staff. And typically those they go by very basic and old school methods that don't really work. All right. And the fact that you had a bone spur in that joint kind of raises the flag of what are what are you stressing in that elbow, especially in rehab. If you're stressing the right parts and ways of the elbow, then those spurs, those bone adaptations most likely wouldn't occur. So um, I'd have to ask you what you do for rehab with them and like recovery and all that stuff. But I'll point out some stuff in your delivery that, if cleaned up, could limit some stress. And then it's not all mechanics. Okay. The training, the nutrition, all that stuff come behind it. But all of it kind of gets exposed in your how you throw and then how you feel after. So, um, one thing I noticed right off the bat is, I think I mentioned it, you don't repeat the same mechanics each time. All right, they change. All right, so that's and it's overlooked. Like whenever you're playing catch in the outfield, you should be rehearsing mechanics and doing it robotically so that whenever you get on the mound, you can be free and throw with intent and then still repeat those mechanics. But if you don't practice it systematically, then you can't repeat it on the mound. So enough of me talking. Let's look at the front view first over here. What's that at? All right, so I gotta put it over here. Let's run it full time. All right, and that look to your left tells me that either didn't feel good or something was wrong, because that's not a yep, that was right reaction. Okay, so the things that I'll point out in this one, the main components of the delivery are your counter rotation and your leg lift. You don't have a ton. There's no real mistake there. The hinge, okay, as you drop, all right, yours can improve a little bit in your back leg's stability and how you hold the knee. And then the third one is foot strike, the position you're in at foot strike, all right, which would be right there. And then at that point, your hip and shoulder separation, and then your release, this is where drive line gets her name from. The drive line of this right here, which propels your forearm forward, and then release point. All right. So the thing that I noticed is from this frame to this frame, all right, you can see that your hips move, okay, right before release. And structurally, that's not allowing the chain of events to come up. All right. If your hips are still moving, your shoulders aren't moving as fast as they can, and your arms moving. So there's a lot of things happening at once, and then you can't execute the delivery efficiently if your hips are still moving once you get to that release point. All right. And then there's in your deceleration of your arm, there's a thing I noticed. All right. So pronation. All right. Whenever people talk about doing it on a change up, you shouldn't, but the turning the thumb down of the arm is how it slows down. Your arm's moving really fast to throw the ball goes away, and then the arm has to slow down. Otherwise, it would fall, it would break. Okay. It would come out, it would put a ton of stress on, it does to put a ton of stress on everything. But if it didn't have the mechanics to slow down, it would be drastic consequences. All right. So whenever you get to there, that's fine. All right. Pronation, it happens. But then this next frame, all right, you can see that I'm pronated. Turn some lights on. I'm pronated here, but then you go and extend this elbow while your thumb is still down. Okay. And what happens, that nerve you're talking about, the UCL or the ulnar collateral nerve or the ulnar nerve, if your thumb is down, all right, those muscles that are protecting that tunnel are contracted. All right. And then you're turning that down. These are contracted. And then you extend it and you stress that whole joint. Okay. Those nerves get trapped and they get pinched. And that's the accumulation of 15 pitches of that sent your nervous system into like, hey, this shit might break. Okay. It's not going to break, but it's sending a warning signal to, hey, protect this. Otherwise, if we keep doing this, things could go wrong. All right. All right. So the main thing, obviously I see that, but when you look at your foot strike, all right, we look at when the first frame of it touching. So I'm going to say you didn't touch there, your heel might be touching, but let's say you're just above the ground, and that's the first frame of you touching. Okay. You're in a pretty damn good position here. You can see the arm kind of, this angle is a little off, but this arm wants to be 90. Okay. Because then that allows this to take away the pressure of gravity, and then it allows it to lay back and accelerate forward. So you're in a good position here, but you're early. All right. Your upper half, your shoulders, this arm needs to be here whenever your front foot is one frame. Whenever that weight hits whenever the weight hits the front leg, so you can say, I touched, there's probably some weight entering that leg and you're stabilizing it, but then it really does it there. And you can see, let's say it even happens in this frame. Okay. You can see that your shoulders are already pointed here. All right. Your shoulder rotation is happening early. All right. And what that's going to cause is a premature extension of the elbow right there. Okay. And what happens is I'm rotating because I rotated early. This arm is going to get to here and then go out. We need it to go to the catcher and it's going out. So then it goes out. And then what you'll see is a drastic turnover of the forearm because the brain knows I'm trying to throw the ball there. So I have to make an adjustment on the fly and torque that. All right. And you can see your head kind of goes with it. Your whole body goes, oh shit, I'm offline. I got to turn the corner and come back. All right. that it's that same, watch your hips. My hips go too. Your whole body turns the corner. All right. So that's gonna put a lot of pressure on that end link of the chain. All right, these two, and all of this is gonna be lit up because it's handling so much of the work. All right. You can kind of see the same stuff in this video, and then I'll go to the one video where you clean it up. I'm not sure if it's because you're throwing submaximal effort or what the reason is, but you clean things up in that video. So let's run this live. Okay, so this is live. All right, so let's compare the differences. This might be a changeup. It looks like you're throwing a changeup in this one. And then the next pitch, you let it eat with a fastball. All right, so let's look at the differences in this. All right, at foot strike. All right, let's say your heel touches, your foot's on the ground, but then that blur goes away in your foot. That means it's stable. All right, so again, pretty damn good position here. The arm is flipping up, the shoulder is on your target, but you're a frame early because when this foot stabilizes in the next one, now look at your shoulder. It's dipped here, okay? And you can see, watch your head blur. Your head goes from here all the way to there, and it turns. So what that tells you is, one, there's too much momentum going forward, and you are rotating early, and that's taking that stuff that way to clear so the arm can come through. All right, the thing here that happens is your elbow climbs heavily. All right, so let's go to this position, make a mark there. Let's go back. Okay, it's still on. Make a mark here. Elbow. And then one there and one there. Okay. So we got point of rotation. And that blur we can use. All right. So you can see how your elbow climbs here. All right. And as you're climbing, you're fighting gravity, and that's stressful. And it's going to climb a little bit, but the flatter you can make it, the more you can accelerate. All right. And again, so I'll point this out in this video. If I'm going to draw the angles for you, bam, bam. All right. Your arm is pronating. It's slightly bent. It should be slightly bent. About 160 degrees, 65 degrees is the safest you can be. And then we go back to straight. All right. And the thing is, see how I'm drawing these lines? It extends. It goes past where it was when it was pronating. Okay. So it's going to pronate and it is going to extend, but that it has to pronate, and then the thumb has to start to come up as it extends. And that's going to relieve that nerve tunnel of the compression. So let's clear this. And then I like to look at your deceleration of your arm. It tells me a lot. All right. So on this changeup, it stops down here by your calf. All right. So note that it stops right there. And then when we go to the fastball, it's going to change. So let's look at foot strike. All right, so your foot hovers in this pitch a frame longer than it does on the changeup. Your heel is a definite hit first on the changeup, and you're a full foot land on this. All right. That minor detail can go a long way in repeating your mechanics. Okay. I refer to it as a trigger. That's how I learned it. Okay. I'm triggering off my front foot. I need to feel my front foot hit the front heel hit the ground, or I need to feel my front foot just be above the ground and then land. I need to know where that front foot is and what it's doing. All right. So again, you're in a good position. Just above landing, landed. This arm is working. Okay, it's going to be close to here. It's moving back. All right, but then look at this drastic head and shoulder tilt on the front side. All right, and this will be the next talking point of why that happens. But now let's mark this elbow again, this climb of your elbow. We're going there. It's on the same spot, but it kind of elevated. Let's mark it because it didn't move forward. It just moved up. Now we're there. It's kind of tough to see. We're going right here. All right, and this is what those when you throw in a biomechanics lab and you put the little probes on you, instead of me marking it, you can just track it. So act as this net as a grid. I can measure 1 block, 2 block, okay, and the probes mark that for me. So this is just a cheap way to do it. Then we're here. All right, and then let's keep going. Where we turn over at, you're gonna be right there. All right, so in this fastball versus the changeup, you can see how it climbs a lot more. All right, so now to the reason why this happens, because everything stems from the ground up. All right, and you have to be able to transition that energy efficiently. Like pitching isn't about strength. All right, it's about, yeah, you got to be strong to stabilize and everything, but it's about moving so efficiently that when it comes time to sling the arm and then to release it, that all of the energy from the ground up has been transferred here efficiently, and that you're still in control, and then you can spin the ball out. All right, it's max strength is focused on way too much when it comes to pitching. All right, but anyway, let's go back to, I'm going to get rid of this one and bring on the one that has clean mechanics. It looks like it's sub max. And then the live ones that are from this back, they're blurry. I can see stuff on it, but they're kind of blurry, so I'm not going to break it down here. So the thing we're going to look at here is your back leg stability, is what they call it. All right. Basically, you are just marking your shin bones up to your knee. All right. We're going to go forward. Okay. So what I'm looking at here is now I'm going to mark the same thing, Nike sign up to the knee. All right. So the reason that I stopped it in this frame is this is kind of the bottom of your hinge, or the point at which your back leg activates. So watch what happens to this back knee is it's going to start to extend now. It does so by continuing its internal rotation. That's what you see there. Okay, that knee starts to go down and in, and then it continues. And then there's your internal rotation. Actually, you don't extend until late, so that's not a bad thing. All right, that's actually good. The big thing here, all right, and this is why your shoulders rotate early, I'm going to clear these out and make better lines. We want, and this angle isn't, I'll be able to measure it better on the other video, this video, because I'm directly on your chest. All right, I can see that back leg's angle perfectly. On this video, it's kind of skewed. So again, we're going, let's put a straight line on it right there. And then we're going to continue. And what happens, and the point of this mechanic is, because there's linear and rotational components of the delivery, meaning that you're going forward towards a catcher, but you have to rotate to spin everything and accelerate the arm. They have to work together. All right, they have to transition one into the other effectively. So you have to hold rotation while you're moving linearly, and you do so with this back knee. All right, so I'm going to put a circle on his back knee and watch as you come out of your leg lift and go down the mound. At what point does, you can mark it two ways. When does this foot really start to blur and get sent forward? And then this glove will pop up. So you're on track, you're on track. Okay, you kind of have that natural uptake of the hand. You're going right there. All right, so this is the bottom of your hinge. And you can see, if I draw another circle on it, how much it moved. All right, and to the untrained eye, this doesn't look like a lot, but ideally, obviously it's going to move. Okay, you're moving forward, it has to move. I'll put up DeGrom, but the closer it can stay to here, all right, it's going to drop a little bit, but the closer it can stay to that point, the more it allows your femur to move. Okay, and when people talk about getting into the back hip, your hip is your pelvis and your femur, and they connect, and that's your hip. All right, so the femur has to be moving, and it can only move on this end of your hip if the knee is stable. If these are both moving, this one has a tough time moving effectively. But if this is stable, this can freely drop. All right. So what that allows you to do then is to hold your rotation. Let's go back to that one. Hold your rotation until you're about to land. All right, so look at your front foot. We'll go to that frame where we start right there. Okay, so we got front foot here, and then we're going to see how far it goes until landing, how much distance it covers in the air. All right, we'll mark it there. All right, so if I were to measure this, it's damn near half of your stride length. Okay. So it's moving through the air half the time that you're going down the mound, and it's accelerating through the air. All right, and you would agree with me that it's a lot easier to balance on two legs than it is one. And you'd also agree with me if I say, is it easier to rotate on one leg or two? Okay, so the amount of time that is in the air is so unstable for your body that it has to compensate by rotating the shoulders to stay on balance. All right, and that's where the early rotation comes from, and that's why it just works up the chain. If it happens in the legs, it happens in the upper body. All right, so let's look at this better one, and then I'm gonna bring in, for whatever reason, I got, we'll go with DeGrom. He's the cleanest, I say, of them all. So we'll use him. just to kind of compare to. Well, this doesn't want to play. All right, never mind. We're going to Bieber, Shane Bieber. All right, so we'll put him over here and we'll look at this first. Go ahead. Dual screen. All right. So let's just play it. That question should be mapped out hell of a lot, way before you get on the mound. Okay, the amount of reps and the amount of sets and the intensity are basically everything. It's that's why I brought up you saying you didn't throw with intent and then went after for 15 live or 15 full intent, because that it has to build. Okay, and those numbers are how you build. Going from 0 to all the stress in the world, in-game level stress, is a huge jump, and it's just asking for injuries. And that's why throwing programs are important. And like, it's not as you can't just make it up on the fly if you are protecting an injury. Okay, it's once you get injured, it has to always be a progression and a regression. Okay, as you get into the season, you would regress on some practice stuff because your game volume is going up. But and that's why I mentioned also the trainers. It's the progression. Like, no exercise is the best exercise. The way you progress exercise is the magic part. So whether you gotta talk to your coaches and be more on a plan, a building plan, or whatever, that needs to be mapped out before. And you need to know, I got two innings of 10 pitches each. Fastball first inning, all pitches next inning. And then next week it is 2 sets of 12 with the same parameters. And then we're building up to 15 the next time. And then we're going to drop back for 3 sets of 10 so that we accumulate total volume. All right, that should be written out. And I can't stress that enough. Like, throwing programs are for that reason, to protect erratic, chaotic stress. All right, so the main points in this one, they'll be the same thing that I looked at on the other videos, but these are cleaner. And I think it's because you're not throwing max effort here. You're not against live guys. All right, so and you can measure intent with a radar gun. Okay, that's basically the best way to do it. You shouldn't ever go from. You should be measuring your intent in bullpen. So, and intent, it's kind of a misleading word, but it's intensity. All right, I'm throwing at 100% intensity, 95, 90, and those percentages go off of your velo. All right, if you max out at 93, all right, 75% of 93 equals 70 miles an hour. All right, so if you ever throw a bullpen at 75%, you should be sitting at 70. All right, and let's say 90 times 93. All right, 83. So even if you're at 90% intent or intensity, the number drops a lot. All right, so you have to build that 91%, 92%, 3, 4, 5%. You have to build in that maximum range, because a 80% or a 75% throw is a hell of a lot slower and less stressful than your max. Okay, so let's go break these mechanics down. The main thing is going to be, like, you can see it in the arm path and everything. And then the timing of foot strike is better. So initial touch, foot is stable, the leg is stable. Okay. So you can see that you're touching, your arm is coming up, it flips, your front foot's stable, the front leg is stable, and the front leg is stabilizing as this front shoulder clicks open. All right, that's good. And the reason that it's good, we can see in the arm and the climb of the elbow. All right, we'll go there, we'll go back a frame. Same spot, not marking again, right there. Right there. Right here. No, that's not it. It's right here. So ignore that one. And then right up there. It's going to be here. All right. So you can see how even though it still goes up, it's a long, gradual climb. Okay. And that allows for the arm to be that's showing me that the arm, the shoulder, this is being pulled through by the chest and not yanked through by the bicep and everything to compensate for this. All right. If you also go and look at your head, your head here, okay, in the other videos you were leaning hard left. All right, initial touch, foot stabilizes, leg stabilizes. Okay, and I'm still chin face to the target. In the other videos, you're here. All right, and it's because that shoulder didn't take you out. Okay, the chest is still, you're laying back like this, and this is a powerful position because the scapula is sucked in close to the spine, so it allows this arm to lay, and then we can drag it through while everything is in a safe position. All right, and you can see this last instance of hip movement, all right, of hip rotation, I'm sorry, as this arm's getting dragged through. Boom. Okay, now I'm here. My hips are done rotating. Now hips don't rotate anymore. Shoulders get another click, and then it's arm. Okay, this pattern works up and is efficient. All right, and if we go to the arm again, watch how you decelerate in a cleaner fashion. Okay, you're there. I'd say probably 160-ish. Have to measure it, and then we go back. We go another frame. And again, you see, it's tough to see because of the blur and the chairs in the back. But this arm is straight. All right, but if we go to the next frame, if you could see, your thumb would be up. So because you did it, because your body mechanics were correct and the chain was efficient, the arm follows the same chain of efficiency: release, pronate, turnover, slow down, and then thumbs coming back up as I extend that arm and continue my rotation. All right. Look how, so I can see your hand right here. All right. It goes the whole way back there behind you. And then remember the other one, your hand stopped here. Okay. That abrupt stopping of the arm also adds stress. Okay. That's why everything being fluid is so important. So let's look at some of the same things on Bieber. All right. I don't think you are, I think Bieber is internally dominant in his hips. Could be wrong. You got to look at how he lands and how he carries his hinge. I'd say he's going to be similar to you, pretty neutral. All right. So there's a test you can do to say, I'm more comfortable with my knees out. or I'm more comfortable with my knees in, and that should also affect your mechanics. All right, everybody's different. That's why you always have to analyze before you start making recommendations. Okay, so we'll mark his back knee. All right, because we got a good angle here. Again, you're going to see it move, but how close does it stay to the initial point, and how long does it stay? Does it not activate? So we're here again. All right, this camera is moving. All right, yeah. So the camera's moving with it slightly, but so it affects the measuring part of it. All right, but you can see that he gets he's going to be damn near on it. Okay, he's going to be, let's take this line here. All right, and then we'll take this line and move it back here to where it was, and then we'll keep going. All right, and then activation is going to happen there. All right, so even though it's tilting pretty heavily, there's no instance of rotation until there. And look at where the hell his front foot is. It's 1, 2, 3 frames from landing, 4 frames from stabilizing. Let's go on yours here. Again, this one's cleaner, so the other ones are probably worse. Back, you see the back knee activate there. Let's even give it an extra frame and say it happens here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you're on time here. Let's go back to let's go to the live one. And again, this is why labs are important, or are very useful, and that some of this stuff is kind of skewed. Each frame rate of each camera is different. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames is different amounts of time. So it can be skewed a little bit, but it gives you a good idea. All right. We're going to say leg activates in that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7 until the foot stabilizes. All right. So even though you're roughly in the same frame rate, understand that your distance covered is a hell of a lot more. So let's go back here. 1 right there. All right. So again, even in this one, your foot's here and you land here. Okay. So even though that's less of what it was when you were live, we got to ignore those, and then we got to draw new ones. Well, let's do it in green on here. Come on. So same thing, same markings, different video. Well, we say knee activates there. So we're drawing the line there. So connect these two. All right, you're going to be about 6 inches to a foot further here if we actually took a measuring tape to it than you are here. Come on. All right, it looks close, but you're going to be about here. If I were to transfer this to this, actually, I can do that. Undo, select. All right, tiny difference, but it adds up. The other big thing that you'll notice in Beaver is this position. All right. The arm is here at leg stability, foot stability, legs. I'm sorry. This frame rate is slower than the one you have. All right. The foot and leg stability happen here. This arm is stacked. Let's do the arm climb on him. It's tough as hell to see. All right. So we can go here. And then we can go here. All right. And then we'll draw this. So again, just like your good rep, it's a long, gradual climb. It's not drastic. It's not quick. Let's go a little bit into his arm deceleration. Again, bent and pronating, straightening, but you can see how that elbow goes from here down, and that's turning the thumb up. So I'm extending while the thumb's coming up. Again, decompressing that nerve tunnel, letting the arm swing around and decelerate nice and easy. Okay. And then that arm has a full pendulum path, and as it allows, okay, it swings out the same way this breaks down coming through, and then this extends, and then this breaks, is how it decelerates. So I get here, I turn over, I extend my bicep and shoulder, turn. This runs out of room, hits my chest, and then the elbow breaks again. Okay. But he doesn't go that far. He goes right here, stops. All right. He's already slowed it down. The muscles here are strong enough to slow it down before this elbow has to break and kick back. All right. All this in point. You want to, and I can show you some stuff that can help you work on this. It's kind of structured throwing. It would be part of a throwing program, but when you're in season throwing programs or auto regulated, you kind of got to play it by ear, but you always have to measure. So basically your game is like, you're clean here. All right. So the mechanics are there. You just have to learn and figure out how to execute proper mechanics at max effort and with live hitters. Okay. And that can come from properly structured bullpens and intensity or intent levels in bullpens. So slowly building up effort and intent will allow you to kind of slowly ingrain those proper mechanics as you increase your violence. There would be the bone spur thing. It's so basically anytime the body experiences stress, like if you're squatting and you're holding a barbell on your back, that's compressing your body. All right. And your bones react to that. And it sends bone cells to rebuild the bone or build on top of what's already there and make it stronger. That's why lifting it helps. So the same thing in the tissues happens whenever you're doing compound movements and not just one plane movement. And we could do some force meter tests, grip strength, some shoulder stuff, and then some movements in your. So I wouldn't even have to test your basic movements because you show the proper mechanics. All right. It would be more about learning how to exert forces in your proper positions, and we can measure that with a force meter. So yeah, once you watch this and we talk a little bit more about it and you come into the range, we can kind of break it down more. I can get some more information on what you've been doing and then address where the mistakes are made because every injury, like there's no injury that is just flat out unfixable. All right. You always have to measure, you always have to analyze and evaluate and adjust accordingly. But you have to have a plan in terms before you can evaluate. All right. So there's a lot that goes into it that goes way over a lot of coaches and trainers' heads because they're not taught that way. All right. The basic teaching of this stuff is that in itself, it's basic. Okay. They think they think it's all hip to shoulder separation and your I's, T's, and Y's and your scapular strength and stuff like that. And then if you can deadlift a bunch, you're going to throw harder, run faster, but that's just simply not the case. There's a lot of components that affect this stuff. Your brain, your nerves, your tendons, your ligaments, your muscles, your nutrition, and the way your metabolism burns fuel to give to your tissues to perform and everything. The human body is very, very complex, so none of this stuff can be simple. Otherwise, you're not going to fix any problems that you have. And the fact that this stuff is still dragging on for so long for you, it means that you're not getting the right stimulus to drive the correct adaptations you need. So there's pieces of the puzzle that you haven't been introduced to that you need to get healthy and actually play again, because what's being done is not working, and it shows in that you can't continuously play. Health is the number one thing for any athlete. I would take a 100-pound less max back squat in the gym if I got to play every single day. And that's how we should look at it, but we don't for some reason. So yeah, we'll talk after you watch this and everything. See if we can get it figured out. So